Hey, welcome to Aftermath, Overcoming What's Left Behind. In each episode, my friend Tom Fallon and I, Theresa Reif, we want to normalize the conversation about sexual abuse. We want to share hope and joy through our topical conversations. You know, both Tom and I, we've overcome the effects of sexual abuse in our lives, and we each wrote a book about it. We wrote about how God helped us overcome it. We want to invite you to listen and join us as we share our personal struggles and victories. You know, when we were facing our abuse and working through it, boy, it wasn't an easy process. But I'll tell you this, it was worth it. So Tom and I, we want to share in your journey with you because we truly, honestly believe and personally know that you can find hope and joy in the aftermath of sexual abuse.
Hi there, we're Theresa and Tom, and today we're talking about fear.
Fear.
And we're talking about how fear affects us after sexual abuse and what kind of things can come at us and how that works. And we're going to pick fear apart and maybe put it back together and then cancel it. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah? All right. The definition of fear is this. It's, the dictionary said, a distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, etc. Whether the threat is real or imagined. I think that's a key there, real or imagined. And it's the condition of being afraid. That's fear.
It's fair.
Yeah.
So when it says imagined, real or imagined,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so understanding what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, that was real.
Yeah, it was real. What I went through was real.
Right, and it was continuously real.
Yeah.
Right, so that's different than me.
Yeah. And Tom's talking about the fact that I was sexually abused by my own father throughout my childhood. So
Yeah, but
just
I think
as a reminder, so we all remember what I went through. Yeah.
14 years.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, it was real. But I think now that it isn't real anymore, right? It's not still happening.
Right.
And so but I think that if I wasn't careful and if I didn't have Jesus, I think that fear could really rule my life, that I'd be afraid of getting married, which thankfully I am.
Gotcha.
Married. And still married, thankfully.
I was going to knock on wood, but that was,
There's no wood.
I don't know why I would knock on wood.
We're sitting at a plastic table. Yeah.
Why am I knocking? All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody's there.
Are you there? Yeah. So fear is amazing that like it becomes a comfortable thing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So even though that's a horrendous situation that you went through, fear sometimes means to me like it's comforting in a way
Mm-hmm.
to be afraid. So I think it's important to identify your fear.
Mm-hmm.
I was dealing with this young kid. And I have this big tire that, when I'm training, we bang on the tire, we push it around, whatever like that.
Nice.
And then there's a little boy, maybe 7, and afraid of everything. The kid's afraid of everything. But he's a beautiful kid, and I love him. And so I made up this thing, hey, why don't you just go in the tire and we'll roll you down the parking lot. And then, like, kids are falling out of it and stuff, and he looks at me and he goes, I think I want to do that. I go, aren't you scared? He goes, yeah, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Come on, that's awesome.
I'm like, you gonna? All right, cool. But then, I kind of held his hand, like so all the kids were pushing the tire, but I kind of helped him stay in there a little bit. But he was the only one that did it.
That's
and you could see how
awesome.
big he became.
Yeah.
He became ginormous, this guy. So that taught me a little bit about fear, like face your fear,
Mm-hmm.
identify your fear, figure out what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and see if it's real still. So, but tell me how you managed that.
I have 3 girls. I think one of the keys that I've always tried to teach them is that we can do things even when we are afraid. That's courage.
That's what I forgot.
That's courage.
Yeah.
And so I think
Fear and
that
courage.
I'm kind of that crazy. I don't know, as a kid, I was a little kamikaze as a teenager, where if it was scary, I went for it.
I want more of it.
Yeah. And so I loved like roller coasters and anything that I thought, those carnival rides that when we see them, we all think that thing is going to fall apart. Like,
I think I'll throw up right there.
Yeah, we know that they just took that off a truck, threw it up, and now it's sitting there. And I would take my brother and sister. In fact, little note about my brother. I made him cry once on that ride when he was a little kid. So I was awesome big
That's mean
sister.
of you.
I was an awesome big sister. I know, so mean. But I would do things on purpose when I was afraid as a kid. And so I think that actually helped me. I think that helped me realize that fear isn't as big as it can seem, which you were mentioning earlier when we talked about it.
Right.
That fear can just, if we look at it as just one big thing, put all our fears, and how did you say it? You said, if we put all the fears, I would say, in a bowl and keep mixing it up over and over, like that would be kind of our life would be full of fear.
Okay, so is the fear of your experience, it is real, but it's not continuous. It's not continuing.
It isn't anymore, but I definitely lived through that. I had to work on that. I had to work on that piece by piece for sure. Like getting married, I think that it was scary to be in a relationship and trust my husband. And that was definitely based in fear that was from the sexual abuse that I went through. Just fear that he would be that same person, fear that he would abuse my girls, right? I have 3 girls. So even just overcoming, really learning to trust him and letting go of the fear that he would do something.
Okay.
Yeah, because God gave me a really good guy in Joel. He's a great guy. He loves my girls. And in a perfectly beautiful way, the way he was meant to love them, not in the way that I was treated as a kid at my house.
So it sounds as though there's other fears that come from the original fear, right? And so could your fear or the potential fear of your daughters being impacted by the act or whatever however you want to say it. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I think I know where you're headed. When we chose to homeschool, our oldest 2 almost all the way through middle school, and I had people who would accuse me of homeschooling because of the abuse that they knew was in my life. And I really had to sit back and ask myself that question, because I definitely didn't want to make a decision based on my fear for them, because that's not fair, right? That's not fair to them. And I really had to sit back and seek God and just say, God, if this is because I'm afraid of putting them in school, if this is because I'm afraid of having them around, male teachers or male coaches or whoever they would come in contact with, then just shut the door. Like I really ask God to just make it almost impossible. And I think for me, one thing that I always pray is that having my husband, of him saying something different from me, which we have different opinions all the time, but I mean with a big decision, I think I wait till we agree, and that's how I know, that's how God has really taught me to know that it's okay to make the decision and to not be afraid. And I didn't homeschool because I was afraid of what would happen in my homeschool, because God wanted me to, because honestly, I'm an extrovert. I didn't want to be home all day with my kids. That was like the last thing I wanted to do. But I'm going to switch gears and ask you now, because I think what's amazing to me about you is your experience was in boxing, and that's when you suffered, and then you went on to stay in boxing.
True.
So that is amazing to me. You want to tell me a little bit about that? Like, did you, when you had another coach, did that come at you? I mean, you had another coach, right? You want to explain that a little bit? Because you had one coach that was abusive.
My brother was a pro fighter at 16, so I might have been 12 or 11. I don't know. I don't know how old my brother is, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. He knows.
He's like 60 years old. I don't know.
Okay.
So,
he's older anyway.
He's definitely my older brother.
There you go. He's older than us.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I think he's 4 years older than me, honestly. But okay, so my brother was a pro fighter. His trainer was a maggot. I'm sorry, can I say maggot?
Yeah.
I think he's a maggot.
You could say something worse.
He's dead anyway, so.
He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
So, he was there. My brother, so I went to the gym a couple of times as a young kid. And then when I caught him, you ever see a fighter sitting in a corner and they pull their pants out so they can breathe better, I guess, or whatever. I don't touch people's pants, but yeah. So I saw him looking down my pants. Like, what the heck is this dude doing? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and I never went back. 10.
Okay.
So that, but I don't, and then I don't know if I ever went back, because then I got to think about when he stayed over my house.
Okay.
So that was a sign to me, and that was I
creepy.
Yeah, it was a creepy thing.
Yeah.
But then he was over my house. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I didn't know it was gonna snowball into something else. Maybe I didn't really believe that he was looking down my pants or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a sticking point in my mind that he was looking down my pants.
Totally.
So, sorry, redirect me, please.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You're doing great. So when you switched so you were in boxing.
Right.
And so you got a new coach after the bad guy.
So my brother went to the Marines.
Okay.
And then I was older. I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And then so I figured that dude was out of the picture. Mm-hmm. So we went to the gym again. So he asked me when he came out of the Marines, hey, you want to come to the gym with me? I'm like, sure, been years. I haven't heard the guy's name. I didn't know if he was around. So I went to the gym with him then and started my career. So it was real comfortable. I was a little bit older.
So was your brother your coach then?
My brother, if you ask me, yeah, my brother was always my coach. But his coaches were my coaches too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he drugged me along.
So did it help maybe to have your brother then maybe there along with you?
It was a great help, yeah.
You didn't, because you weren't really exposed as much then to his coaches because he was involved in the relationship? I was trying to understand the logistics.
No, I don't know that. I don't know. My brother was involved in the first one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but the guy never touched my brother. So I don't understand that. I don't know why he never touched my brother. I think I've since writing my book, I have had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, man, same thing to me." Other fighters, But my brother says, "No, he didn't touch me." So my brother must have had an aura about him or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are people.
Right. So, but then the freaky part is, the guy ended up showing up at the gym. He was still alive. I didn't hear about him for years or whatever, like those years. And then I would say, hey, stay away from him. Mm-hmm. Stay away from him. Right out. Hey, this guy's a pervert. Stay away from him.
Yeah.
So that was my message to the world, was like, this guy, stay away from this guy.
What I love about that is that's really good fear.
And I was maybe 14, 15.
Yeah, so you were already grown a little bit more.
I didn't know if I was strong
age.
enough to do that, but I just couldn't. Hey, don't go near that guy.
Yeah. I think I find that now there are people that I meet and I have a sense and a discernment.
Right, that's what I want to talk about.
That's not a good guy. And that's actually good fear, though. Like, that's really a healthy place. And I think that we have to sit back and not accuse every single person, right? Because I think
you can't do that.
Sometimes I could be just like, didn't get good sleep and ate something bad. Like, let's blame it on the pizza I had.
Pizza?
I know, but I mean, I think discernment is a slippery slope.
Right.
You can't just start accusing every single person that you come along contact with, like, ew, I feel icky because of you. But I think that you were saying how, there's that warning. You warned other people, hey, that guy, don't hang out with that guy, or don't send your kid to be trained by that guy.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good, healthy fear. It's like a hot stove. My kids have friends that are afraid of me because I am just a parent and I tell them the truth when they come to my house. I'm not mean, but I'm just absolute. Like, well, this is how it works in my house. Maybe it doesn't work that way in your house. And so my kids will say, oh, Mom, they're afraid of you now. And I'm like, all right, that's okay. That's healthy fear. That's like a hot stove.
That's good.
You don't go touching a hot stove because you don't mess with me. And so there is healthy fear, right? There's a good fear there. And so I think discerning helped me. What's the difference between good fear and bad fear? So what does bad fear look like for you? Like, what would that be like for you, bad fear?
Bad fear. Well, I have a saying that I've adopted many years ago. Do what you fear most.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of like embrace fear. I don't think there's any real
Yeah, so you're kind of like, I'm the same way. Like, I kind of go for it.
Yeah,
I just refuse kind of to let it. I think I've told my kids, because it's funny, I'm really an extrovert. I'm an extreme extrovert. I have a friend who calls me an outrovert. She's like, yeah, you're not even an extrovert.
You get your own term.
You're an outrovert. Yeah. And so I'm not afraid of, talking to everyone. But I have introverts for girls. Two of my two oldest girls are more like their dad. They're more quiet, a little more shy, aren't easily in conversation. But so I think having them as kids, I was constantly trying to teach them, like, hey, there's a place where fear is normal and okay, but when it cripples you, when it keeps you from doing what God's calling you to do, when it keeps you from going for it in life, like even just having fun, doing fun things. And the problem with teaching my children that is that then I had to do things I was afraid of. So there's this place in Texas called Blue Hole, and it's a swing. It's a swing where you I forget what that's called. Anyways, a swing where you swing off into the water. So it's anyways, it's hangs from a tree, you know.
Rope swing.
A rope swing. Finally, thank you.
I had a different word for it.
It was a rope swing. But the city actually manages it so that it's safe. So they'll come out and they check the links and all this stuff. So it's a city park, and you know, and so but my kids were going, I was taking them and they made me do it. Well, those are kind of two of my biggest fears is water, drowning, and heights. I was super up high and going into the water.
Yeah.
And my kids are like, "Mom, aren't you gonna do it?" And I was like, No, I'm good. I just wanted to bring you here. This is going to be fun. Mom, are you afraid to do it? And I was like,
you can't teach kids everything.
No, I just don't want to go in. I don't want to get my hair wet today. It looks good. Good hair day, guys. I don't want to I made every excuse under the sun, and they were like, Mom, you said even when you're afraid, you can do things. That's courage. So I had to go on that swing twice. And do you know that I got sick? I got some rare amoeba. It's in Texas. Oh my God.
Some lake amoeba?
So bad. I was so sick.
I didn't even know there's an ocean in Texas.
No, there isn't. It's Colorado River.
Colorado.
But so anyways, If you teach your kids stuff, you're going to have to do it.
Okay, so that brings me back to what you said a while ago about fear.
Yeah.
So like, being a father, dang, don't go near my kid. And I don't know if I'm afraid.
Sure.
I don't know that I'm afraid.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
But there again, that's kind of part of our job.
Yeah. So how was I not afraid? But yet I kept my kids free of abuse. I mean, so that's like an honest fear.
It is. It is an honest fear. I think that's a hard one for every parent. I don't even think you don't have to be sexually abused to be afraid of what could happen to your kids. And I think.
Oh, but I'm not talking about swings. I'm talking about like people. Like you know, like stay away from that guy.
Well, no, because it's not like you've overprotected them. Because your sons, do they both box?
No.
No, but your oldest does.
Yeah. But I mean, no. So he has courage.
Were you always his coach?
I was always my boys' coach. Yeah. Even hopefully today. Yeah. I'm not sure today, but hopefully. But yeah.
Would that be hard for you if he went on to get a different coach? Just because of your background, I guess.
Literally, I believe that there will be a day where he'll need to go get another coach. So I hope he chooses the right one. Because there's certain aspects of the game that I'm not gonna subscribe to. Okay. That he may need to partake in.
In order to keep going.
In order to be the greatest that he can be.
Yeah.
So I might not be the right person for that. Right now, right now, today, I don't feel as though I am the perfect person to bang down that door for him to get in there.
I think that's impressive, Tom. So I would just say I'm proud of you. Good job.
Yeah, I know that I'm gonna have to let him go someday. No. Hopefully, I don't have to, but maybe I'll mature enough and.
I think that's good. I think that shows courage.
Yeah.
Because you will have, we all have to let them go eventually, our kids, which is painful but true. But just, because they grow up and they go on. But, let them have another coach. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, sure. Did I ever tell you the story about one of my boys and I was standing there talking to somebody and my boy come up to me and I noticed this other guy that I've always had an awareness of this other guy. And then I noticed the other guy like close behind my boy, so I pull my boy up next to me and I'm talking to a guy, and then the other guy comes up behind him, and then like it gets too close to my son and I put my son over here. So I just talking and I put my son over here, and then I'm like got my arm around my son, and then the guy goes behind me, grabs him on the other side, I put him in front of me, like just instinctively. Definitely. I was like, this ain't right. Yeah. So I didn't do anything. I kept the conversation going, for seconds or 2 or 3 seconds, and then I walked out of the building, and my boy was dead. I go, what's up, buddy? He goes, how come he was going, in my ear? I said, I'm not sure, man. I'm going to find out, though. Yeah. So, like, that was, like, just, like, so I just want to encourage people, don't be afraid. Like, I wasn't afraid. I was in a situation that I couldn't blow up. You know what I'm saying? But but I was aware. So don't be. Understand. I had to understand my fear. Understand where it was coming from. Right. And see if it was justified. Yeah. Right. So those are the things that. So fear can be great, right?
Absolutely.
Fear is very
It's healthy.
important in getting through the aftermath and getting onto a productive situations and lives and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's actually a ton of verses in the Bible about
Right.
fear. There's 365 at least. And so there's enough verses
For every day.
For every day.
Right.
For every day. And so God knew we'd be afraid.
Right.
We're kind of small
But He has not given
compared
us
to
a
the
spirit of
universe.
fear.
But He hasn't given us a spirit of fear.
Right,
The
that's
Bible
the
says
deal.
He's given us a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind.
So go back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just think it's important to know that, like, God knew we would be afraid. So He provided a way for us to overcome that fear from His encouragement, because those verses in the Bible, they're not just talking about, hey, just be afraid, it's okay. They're actually saying you don't have to be afraid. God says over and over, be strong and very courageous, right? He says that over and over and over. Do not be afraid. It's super encouraging. This is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. Do you know who she is?
The first female president.
Not quite. She was.
She might have been.
She could have been. Yeah. She was definitely. He might have been the head, but she was definitely the neck.
She was everything else. Yeah.
She was. She's smart. She was a pretty smart lady.
Yeah.
She said this: "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You're able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing that comes along. You must do the thing that you think you cannot do." And I think that perfectly actually summed up what you were saying. And I think we've both said that together here, which I actually didn't know that about both of us, that we just head right on into it. Put something scary out in front of us. Although I'm not allowed to go in haunted houses. I got kicked out of one in high school.
Oh,
and they never let me back in.
Do you go into haunted houses that have like people in there?
Yes.
Like,
I punched someone.
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah.
actually what happened. I was with my sister. It was up in New Hampshire. And there was a whole house that was just one big haunted house. They had turned in. And so you went from room to room to room. And I was with my sister. And I had to walk on these planks. It's perfectly dark. Of course, stupid haunted houses. And so.
Why don't they put lights in them?
I guess it's not quite as scary.
It's not a haunted house
there were
then.
ropes on the side. And then you had to like make your way on these planks of wood.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh, wow.
and there were like hands. People
Come
were,
on.
and somebody grabbed me and I turned around as every muscle in my body, and I was just like hauled off and punched him, and the guy starts yelling, what are you doing? And my sister's like, she is so sorry, and I'm like, I am not sorry, you touched me, that was scary, you scared me. He's like, it's a haunted house. He's yelling at me, it's a haunted house. So we get to the end, and my sister literally dragged me out the rest of the way, and the guys that were running the place were like, yeah, you can't come back.
Yeah.
They're like,
Take a picture.
yeah, no, told my youth leader. My youth leader like was totally chewing me out on the way home. He's like, what the heck did you do? And I'm like, I was scared. I stuck up for myself. He's like, it was a haunted house. What did you think? I was like, oh, sorry,
Supposed
guys.
to be scared.
I'm not allowed in haunted houses anymore. Nobody lets me go in. It's probably a good thing. I get too scared. It was too real.
Too real.
Yeah. You shouldn't make it so scary.
So,
Yeah.
speaking of reality,
Reality versus.
we have
yeah.
to make sure the fear is real. God, that's another good point right there.
Yeah. I think that the best thing I did for that is just reminding myself constantly that I'm safe. I'm in the present. You know, I'm not in that situation anymore. Because I think with sexual abuse, it's easy to get pulled back into it.
Right.
Really easy. Because
People-
it's all up here.
I find I when preparing for this in my head, I'm like, people want to bring you back there for some reason. Like I'm like, I'm not going back there.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
That happened to me then. I'm good now. Don't bring it back.
And I think
If
there's some
wanna
of that we
talk
have
about
to
it.
do.
So
We
have to-
definitely have to have a short season at least.
A season, a time.
But I think that's key. And that's a key with fear, is to move on. It isn't to look it in the face, like you said. Identify it and just say, okay, I'm afraid of that, but I'm gonna jump in that pond from the rope swing anyways.
Yes, that's
Despite
true.
it.
Yes, I like
Despite
that.
being afraid of it.
Right.
And it didn't kill me. It made me sick. But that was a totally different story. But I did it anyways.
I know we talked about the monkey mind. I think we did during our preps.
Maybe. Remind me.
Well, I come to find out that I might not be right about it, but I'm still going with it anyways.
Okay, well, not necessarily true.
Yeah, I don't know. According to my Hindu
Tom's just
buddy,
gonna
it's
share
not.
something.
But I mean,
Okay.
And I thought it came from a Hindu, but whatever. So there's a monkey in your mind. It's like your mother. Don't do that.
Okay.
But mom, I want to cash a $100 bill. No, don't. You may never get another $100 bill. something like that. So there's a monkey in your mind there's a thing in your mind that's trying to keep you safe. Right? And why was I saying that? Because I think fear has the same thing. It's a comfortable aspect of it, but identifying what it is and if it's a real fear is very important to get through it. And you did experience a lot of those fears, so.
I think the lie there, there's a lie there, right, that tells us our fears and what we're afraid of. If we stay away from those things, we stay safe. Right. I think there's a lie there. I think that the lie is that if we just believe our fears, that we'll stay safe. Right. Because we just stay away from those things. If we don't do those things. Yeah. And that's actually a lie, right? Because, I know, because I jumped into the pond and I lived through it, right? But I could have believed that I was going to drown and that heights were going to kill me, right? But they didn't. So it was all in my head.
So when did you actually know that you had control over how you felt about the things that you had went through in the past? When did you
feel like I overcame it more?
Well, just like that rubbing your bruise thing, you get, feels good and there's like a soft spot and stuff, thoughts and fears and all that stuff. But when did you know that hey, I don't really have to think about that right now? I know I'm connected to that situation, and that situation is connected to me, but I don't think I have to think about that right now. I'm going to spend time with my wife, and I know the color of her shirt reminded me of something else, but I don't have to think about that.
I had this time in my life where in church, God really talked to me about the fact that he was my parent. And how he was parenting me and how I could exchange my earthly parents for him.
Right.
And I think for me, that was incredibly key. That was a turning point for me where I realized, wow, if the God of the universe is my father,
he's got my back.
I'm good.
Right.
Yeah, like David and Goliath, right? Like David, same way. He was like, I'm going to take out that giant. I think that when I really settled that in my soul, and I think it took a little bit of time. It wasn't kind of just like a immediate exchange and I knew what I was doing. I think it was along the way, learning to really let go and just kind of really allow God to help me. I think we have to allow him to help us. I think that we can get in our own way.
Yes. So having you say that brings me back to the point where we talked originally. Somewhere along the line, I was convinced that God was my father. Mm-hmm. And it just came back to me. I was reading my dad's Bible. And my dad's Bible told me that my dad was my brother, in essence.
Sure,
that he's
in God's eyes.
Yeah, in God's eyes. He's
exactly.
my brother.
Right.
And then that God was my father.
That's so good.
And I said, but my father sucked at that. And so I got this one now. Whoa, it's so cool. It was it changed my whole relationship with my father. Mm-hmm. We're on the same journey together,
That's
man.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't pick up the ball where God gave him the ball, I got the father of all fathers to be my father. So I got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
So I'm free. I'm clear.
Pray that our kids do that too. I am so human. I'm always like, ooh, sorry guys. That was my bad.
Yeah.
We're human. We're not meant to fill those places and those gaps. God is the only one meant to fill
there
those.
There are definitely God-sized gaps in our lives that we need to surrender to.
Yeah. I think I have a couple verses here that I want to read. Yeah.
I think you do too.
Oh, no, that's wrong. That's not it.
So God does ask us to stand in his love and in his strength when we are afraid. Right. So which one did you have? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I know Joshua 1:9 says, be strong and very courageous, but I don't actually have it written here. So I'm going to find it in my Bible. You chat. What else do you have?
What else do I have?
We're almost done, I think.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Wrong belief. I have no control over how I feel. That's a wrong belief. So you have right beliefs. I had to develop right beliefs about what happened with me, Mr. Evil. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't glamorize it or make it bigger than it actually was, right?
Right.
So, different scenarios for different people. I understand that.
Yeah.
But, so in my situation, I couldn't make it bigger. I didn't want to wear a bigger scarlet letter on my chest or anything like that.
No one wants to wear that.
This is a situation that happened to Tom Fallon. at one time in his life. It doesn't continue. I'm not affected by it. The bruise is gone.
Yeah.
I got people who care about me. I don't need to be that no more.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
and I think that's Bible, actually. But go ahead.
Somewhere it's in there.
There's a lot.
I'm not good at numbers either. I can't. I'm not great at remembering references. Well, I think if we wrap up.
Yep, wrap it up.
We've talked about how if we face fear, maybe one fear at a time. That's a good way to.
So yeah, like
to look at it.
why wouldn't you even write it down? I mean,
Yeah.
this is your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is my life. I needed to have someone say, hey, okay, let's deal with this fear.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it real? Where did it come from? When did you start having it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a great counselor can help you do that
right,
too.
good,
Certainly,
yeah.
that was really good. Or a pastor. Or
I had a
friend.
mighty counselor.
Oh yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that you and I did that was the same and similar is that we faced fear. We just
Face it.
went for it.
Yeah.
We just kind of went for it.
You know what happened
Maybe
to
a
it?
little crazy, but
Disappears.
it does
Goes
disappear.
away. Gets weaker.
I think for me, when I tell people, that has made a big difference for me. Really, just having someone to talk to about what I'm afraid of makes it smaller rather than as big as it seems.
That brings me back to tell everybody. That's what I was saying. Like, just tell everybody what happened to you. Tell them all. Someone will. That's what I did. Tell everybody. Don't stand near him. Get away from him on the couch. Just tell people. Someone will give you a piece of advice. Someone will give you something that will build you, make you stronger.
Yeah.
Some people will tear you down, but I mean, just
It's worth it to take the chance.
Yeah, someone will come along. You might find me.
Yeah, yeah.
You might find someone like yourself.
Somehow
1 out of 3 people.
Yeah, 1 out of 3 people. Somehow we did through Facebook, actually.
Yes, true.
Through your wife, your awesome wife.
My wife.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I know. That's why she's
Right.
with me. She's awesome. She's
Well,
smart.
Tom and I are here for you guys.
Yep.
We want you to know that with each episode that airs that we're praying for you and hoping that you find hope and joy in the aftermath of sexual abuse.
It's findable. Look for it.
Did you know that the average is about 1 in 3 people have been sexually abused? That means that even if you personally have not been sexually abused, you certainly know someone that has been. Here at Aftermath, Overcoming What's Left Behind, we're working to start and continue this conversation. Will you please like, subscribe, and share the link to our episode so that we can help all those in your circle of influence? We know and truly believe that everyone can find hope and joy in the aftermath. We want to say thank you to our sponsors, Handfuls.com, where they offer a game changer for moms during mealtime with their baby feeding placemat. Go grab one for your kiddo at handfullz.com. Also, thank you to QuickSurvive.world, where you can purchase their waterproof fire starter kits for your next camping trip, bonfire, or to keep in your emergency prep kit. That's QuickSurvive.world, QuickSurvive.world. We here at Aftermath want to send a big shout out and thank you to Christ Community Church in Taunton, Massachusetts for the use of their studio. If you're in the southern Massachusetts area, you'll want to check them out as they learn to live like Jesus and help others do the same. You can find more information about this amazing church at cccfamily.com.